Welcome, everyone. This is Karine Mills, your podcast host, and we are blessed today because we have the beautiful Maru
Iabichela.
Iabichela.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm so excited to be here. And finally, there's so many awesome people you've had on that I've been following for a while. So it's truly an honor and a pleasure to spend some time with you and your audience. And I'm so excited to see what golden nuggets, what gems, we will create today.
Well, you're here because you have a lot of them. And
I've been told, I hope so. I hope I don't disappoint today. You never know.
Had the really awesome pleasure to hear you talk. And I'm telling you, I was taking copious notes because, when there's something great and you speak life into people and it's just who you are, Maru.
Thank you.
So,
yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And
you're welcome.
I'm excited. It's Monday over here for me. I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but it's a brand new week. So I hope that when you listen to this, you feel a boost of energy, stamina, hope, faith, and excitement, for everything, for the challenges, for the dreams, for the visions. It's truly an honor and a pleasure every time I get to share parts of my story. I'm setting the intention that it enlightens some of you, that it gives you some ideas or tips that can enhance and expand your possibilities and make your life better, for sure.
Yeah, and it's even like just as simple as I'm not alone, being able to say, gosh, I felt so isolated going through this challenge, but listening to her and look at her now, the feeling of being able to say, I'm not alone in this world. There's other women and other people and other moms that are going through what I'm currently going through. Is so super powerful. So we'd like to hear how your childhood really was, because I believe that our childhood is like some of the key component of who we have become today. And they say it either inspires you or it troubles you, right? When you're growing up. And I know you grew up in a different country.
I did. Yeah. I've never been asked this question, so I'm excited and I hope I'm able to say the things that will connect the dots. We will connect the dots later. So I was born and raised in Venezuela. That's South America. I grew up speaking Spanish, and then later on I spoke Italian up until age 15. So English is my third language. And I have to say that in hindsight, I think I had a really good childhood. But obviously, as an adult, some things came up that forced me to go look back and understand, why is it that I wasn't going for bigger opportunities, or I was shy, or I wasn't succeeding at the pace that I thought I could or I should. And looking back at my childhood, I realized that very early on, there's some things that happened that silenced me. That they weren't ill-intended, right? But one of the memories that I have that I know shaped my future was I was 6 years old. I was in my dad's business, and it was a day of inventory at the company. It was a ceramic tile and some construction stuff company. And it was inventory day, and I saw some guys sitting down and just chit-chatting. And I remember as a 6-year-old walking up to them and telling them, like, hey guys, how come you're not working? Everybody else is busting their butts off and you're not working. Wow. And they looked at me like, oh, you're so cute, ha ha ha. They didn't take me seriously. And I heard about this for years to come, where people were like, she's so cute, she told us what to do. And I interpreted that at the young age of 6, I interpreted that as I'm not taken seriously, right? So here I am trying to be a leader. Wow. And somehow there's a part of me that felt like, well, it doesn't matter what I say, it's not going to be taken seriously, right? I'm pretty sure that memory shaped my future, no doubt about it, because I've had to work towards being able to find my voice again and stand up and say what I want to say and be a leader and not feel like I have to apologize for it, right? Or not fear that I'm not going to be taken seriously. But some things that also shaped my life is that I grew up well off. So in Venezuela, I grew up with a stepdad, but he was my dad. I have his last name. I knew him since age 2. And my mom married into wealth. And I never felt like the privilege was mine. So I worked really hard most of my life to let go of the things that brought spotlight to me. So here I am trying to be a speaker and trying to gain visibility and opportunities. And deep down, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be seen because it's not mine. You know,
Wow.
I inherited it in a way. So how did this show up for me? It was terrible. I turned down my first job promotion because I felt like I didn't deserve it.
Wow.
I got asked to move on to a new team, a better team, within 6 months of my first job after college. And I turned it down because I felt bad for the people that had been there for 10, 15 years. I turned out my dad's inheritance when he passed away because I felt like I was like, I'm good. I have a job. You know, I've been in the States for a while. My life is going to be good. My brothers stay home. I'm like, they have it worse. And when I was 7 years old, I asked to be moved from first class to coach in an airplane because I just felt
Wow.
horrible in the front of the plane. So there's so many things that now I understand better, right? But anything that would make me separate from other people, I would protect from. I would be like, no, that's not me. It's my dad, or things like that. I had the last name, so they would assume things about me. And I'm like, so anyway, it's this syndrome of, I'm no different than you. I'm no better. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure it'll come out later in an interview, but that was a big deal, right? It was a big deal, not
Wow.
accepting the opportunities, not owning the fact that life has sincerely and truly given me opportunities. And I just kind of like shied away from them. It turned me into a doormat, frankly, because I just felt like I didn't deserve
Wow.
so many good things that came my way. So now, on the other side of that, being willing to receive and owning my receiving is a big 180, right? So later on, I'll tell my story of the other side of it,
And
but it's a big deal.
wow, I wonder if it has something to do with being, I don't know, because I have a problem receiving compliments myself. It's not really like a huge problem, but there's an emotion inside of me that like I feel dirty when I get complimented. I don't know what it is. And like I feel like why do I deserve this? Like what have I done? And a lot of people
Right.
will appreciate what I do, but I feel like that's what everybody should do, kind of thing. Like that's
Mhm.
just what humans do, is to help each other. So I don't need a thank you or something like that. Like I have a problem, like you said, receiving compliments, receiving a thank you.
Mhm.
And I give it right back to people. Like if somebody says, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and I always say, "It takes one to know one," or like I have to say something back so it doesn't stay with me because
Got
I
it. Got
feel
it.
dirty when it's staying with me.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm so glad that you're fully aware of it. And I will tell you that it's something that we need to work on. So perhaps we can even go there, during the time that we talk or another time, because I think it's important to understand where your deflection is coming from, right? Like
Hmm.
where for me, where life presented me with opportunities and love and even money, I felt like I didn't deserve it. So I would spend it, or I would just think that it didn't belong to me. And it's almost like I had, and I still have some of it, is like this vows to stay
Mm-hmm.
poor, or to stay humble. That's the word that resonates with me the most, and also that resonates with most women that I speak to. It's like this commitment to be really humble, to stay relatable. And what I realized, throughout my life is that, yes, of course, like I'm not a conceited person. I don't think people will think of me as a conceited person at all. But there's also time and place for you to, own
Yes.
your space in the world, and say like, you know what, I'm actually really good at this, and I enjoy doing this, and I want to do more of it, and I want to put it out there in the world, and I want to give extraordinary value to people. And it's because I know that I own this gift. And that's really hard to do when you feel like you don't deserve the attention, or when you don't deserve the love, that somehow in order to get it, you have to give something, or you have to do something. Like, for example, when a baby, I'll just think an example of a baby. Like, babies are beautiful. They're inherently beautiful. They don't have to do anything for us to give them love, right? And I think culturally, especially, I don't know specifics of your culture, but I'm already picking up, including for me, right, that it's like, it's tit for tat. It's like you have to do something in order to get a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you do it, you're like, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We just provide. We're nourishers, we're nurturers, we're supporters. Like, you don't owe me anything. And in that process, we end up not giving ourselves the credit we deserve. We end up not allowing other people to give us the credit or the attention or the gratitude or even the time, right, that we deserve. And it runs deep. It
does.
Deep. And for me, something else that's just coming to mind, it's like the greatest Achilles heel that I've had most of my life is my abandonment issues. My biological father left when I was 1 year old, and he went on to be super happy, and I love him, and we have a great relationship now. And deep down, I interpreted this as I am not lovable, I'm not wanted, I'm not this and that. And we still talk about that to this day. We have a very open and honest relationship about it now since I became an adult. But that's caused all kinds of issues, man, clinging onto the wrong relationships to prevent me feeling abandoned, to prevent me feeling, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's but I do believe everything happens for a reason. Everything has a purpose, and it's all those things, even the facing of them all has made me who I am today. And I'm really proud of myself. Not perfect. God, I'm not perfect. You don't want to see the status of my whole closet and, over here. But it doesn't define me. I'm a human. I keep trying to work at things at life, at becoming a better mom, better human, better person, and enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah. Have you heard of, or were you raised Catholic?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So I'm trying to connect this one because I came from the Philippines, and it's a Catholic country, very heavy. And I'm sure you guys have telenovelas over in your country, just like ours. And the way that the telenovelas are always told, the stories always, the oppressed are blessed. And they always come back, like, say, from rags to riches, and then, like things like that. And a lot of people in my country watch, and even growing up, I watched telenovelas all the time. And it was always like the ones that are being enslaved always becomes blessed later on. And I think, and I talk about this in one of my guests on episode 10. I grew up with her, and we don't have that mindset anymore as an adult, but I think it was always engraved in our culture because of its Catholic background, that's what happens. If you are oppressed, you're going to be blessed. So
oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm 100% sure that that's part of this whole conversation. I don't remember that being a storyline in the telenovelas or anything, but yeah, the rags to riches for sure. But I never heard the oppressed will be blessed. But yeah, that definitely resonates. It's like this martyr mentality of like, if I take it, then I'll be blessed for it or something like that. Yeah, don't do that. Don't you?
No, it's not. It's not a good mentality. So you came to America.
Yeah, and
why did you come to America?
So after I graduated high school, my mom was dating a guy from Texas, from Fort Worth. That's where I live still. And I didn't speak English very well. So I just came here for a period of time to learn English. And I ended up staying because they got married, and it all worked out. I was able to to get the green card and then become a citizen. Wow. And I've just never looked back. And I'm so grateful, even though it was really hard at the beginning to start over. I'm really grateful because I have an amazing life, and I'm proud of my.
Well, you came here without speaking a lick of English, and your English is phenomenal. What, 8 years later?
No, it's been 18 now.
18.
Yeah, wow. It's 2000, right? Yeah, I definitely have a gift for audio things. Like when I visit other countries and I stay a week, I come back speaking like 10 words and I say them really well. I try to learn like 10 words and I say them really well, and people think that I'm a native. And I just have, I don't know, I have a good ear for things. Yeah. So that's why I'm more of an audiobook person for sure.
Wow.
But it was, something was said to me when I was 13 by a guy who had a crush on this guy. He was Polish. This was back in Venezuela. And I remember him saying to me that accents are for lazy people. And it's not true at all, but I was so impressionable, right, that at the time I was like, oh, if that's true, if I ever speak English, I cannot have an accent. So that negative, limiting, horrible, fake belief that he told me about himself, I adopted, and it worked in my favor, right? Because I was already doing some like radio stuff back home. I loved microphones, and this was all in Spanish. And when I came here, I was like, my dreams are over. I'll never be a show host. I'll never be this. I'll never be that. And then, I didn't know the language. I had an accent. And so, but over time, I don't know, like it just became natural,
So you came in 2000.
Yes.
I actually came May of 2000. Which month did you come?
Oh, I came in like December 1999, and I started school in January.
Wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that you are a speaker, sought after, do you feel like you are, what dreams you had as a child, you've continued on when you came to America, and how easy or difficult was that transition for you? And how did you, because you didn't probably become a speaker right away when you came.
No.
How did you stumble upon all these new version of you, the version of you that is that I'm talking to now?
Oh my gosh, you have 6 hours. In a nutshell, I mean, I honestly, I feel like it was a completely clean slate. That when I left Venezuela, I had probably been doing a lot of emceeing gigs. I discovered microphones at age 15, and it was the beginning of the end of my own self-oppression of like, I'm not taken seriously. Nobody would listen to me. And right around 15, I was never a popular kid or anything. I was smart. But something happened. I can't remember how I came in touch with a microphone. Mm-hmm. And I think it was right before my 15th birthday, my quinceañera. And right then I started this love affair with microphones. So until I graduated high school, I was gigging. Like I would MC every event of my school. Wow. I did some TV interviews for my school and for this and that. And so when I moved to the States, I was like, that's over. Nobody will want to listen to me. I can't even speak the language properly, blah, blah, blah. So it took me probably a tiny little life push that I got was my senior year in college. Mm-hmm. I did a presentation, and I wouldn't even raise my hand my 4 years of college because I was winging it. Like, especially my freshman and sophomore year, I took like 3 months of ESL classes, enough to kind of get into school. I failed my TOEFL, which is the test of English as a foreign language. I got a 540 something, and I needed a 550. So I was able to start my freshman year at university under probation, that I would retake the exam and pass it. And I did that. I got like a 557. I needed a 550. But I remember winging it. So my senior year in college, I had no idea how I made it through college, right? Because I understood probably 50% of what the teacher said. And then probably it was 60, then probably 70. And I didn't know what a Scantron was or what a mechanical pencil was.
Wow.
So in my senior year in college, a very tough teacher I was doing a presentation. And when I was done, she says, wow, you're a great speaker. And I was like, did she really just say that about me? And I was like, it was one of those, like, you know what I mean? It was like a little spark, like a little light spark, like a match or something. And I was like, whatever. And then it wasn't until 2006, I would say. It was my first year in my first job out of college, that I was sent to a motivational conference. And there was Zig Ziglar, the late Zig Ziglar, who was still alive, Brian Tracy. I can't even remember right now, but there were so many people that I learned about that day. And I remember it was this giant venue. It was an arena, and it was packed with people. And every speaker, they were all men, number one. And number two, they all had a book. And I remember feeling so energized. And I was like, I'm going to do that one day. And that was the beginning of I can do that. Perhaps one day I can do that. But this is 2006. It was called the Get Motivated seminars for anyone that's been around for a while.
Oh yeah, I've been to that.
Yeah, I think everybody did.
Yes.
So that was my like my second spark, that I was like, wow, there's people that actually have a living doing this. And then so it came in stages, but I worked for a wonderful company for 10 years, and I worked my way up the rankings. I started in customer service, and I ended up being a manager of train operations out at a facility, a train station here in Alliance,
Wow.
Texas, supervising over 200 men working days, nights, derailments, hazmat, spills, tornadoes, derailments, you name it. Like, I set out on a quest to see if I could keep 200 men engaged in a job and safe, then I could do anything. And I did that. And it was hard as hell. But I knew that one day this dream would come. But I also knew that it would take time. So I was working my side hustle business, life coaching, speaking. I became a coach in 2011. Found a course, took it, became certified. So, it's in hindsight, I'm like, that feels like it was yesterday, but that was 7 years ago, guys. So for anybody that wants to build their own quote unquote empire, whatever that means for you, give time, and I see myself doing a version of what I do now 50 years from now. So I know I'm no longer in a hurry to get it all done. Because
Wow.
before it was like, I need to do everything now. Come on, I got to capitalize. And ever since meeting Oprah and Jack Canfield and a whole bunch of amazing people that I've had the privilege to be around, I'm like, longevity, Maru, longevity. And in longevity, if you want to be around 50 years, you don't want to do everything tonight. And that's what I was doing. So it's been a journey for sure. It's taught me that the strategies are good. It's good to have mentors that will, tell you to follow certain steps, but don't ever follow any steps that don't feel like your own.
Mm.
Every time I've been like, even talking to you guys right now, I don't feel like I have to put on any masks, any fronts. I don't feel like I have to pretend anything. When I first started my journey, I felt like I had to in order to mean something, or in order to stand out, or in order to be perceived as an expert. And when that stopped working, because nothing was working, I was like, you know what? F this. I'm just going to be myself. I'm just going to tell people what not to do. I did all the things that I was told to do. Got into I literally almost filed bankruptcy in February 2015. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try consolidating on my debt first. So I ruined my credit. I've had no credit since. And when I started telling people my story without holding back, my business took off. And I swear to God, I've never made less than 5 figures since then, a month. This year has been a different story because I've just like pulled back tremendously. So I don't even know if that holds true this year. But for 4 years, I just had this amazing track record of revenue and momentum and consistency in my business. And it's when I took off all the masks, especially in the online space where everybody's like, I did this and I did that and I did that. And I was like, well, I tried all that and it didn't work for me. Screw it. So yeah, it's been I don't call it a trial and error journey. I call it a trial and trial, because there's no such thing as like mistakes or errors. If you believe there are mistakes, or there are steps or efforts that you've given that have not gone anywhere, then you don't believe in physics, because the laws of physics state that energy is never destroyed. Energy is only transferred. So no amount of energy, little, big, small, tiny, that you give to something, just because you don't see the physical evidence or it going to some place where you directed your attention, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it didn't go somewhere. So I know that sounds kind of deep, but it's true.
Yes.
There's no mistakes. There's no, that's just transferring of energy.
Yeah. Shifting energy. I wholeheartely believe in the power of energy and the power of the ripple of your energy. Like you said, I
have a great story about this ripples. Yes. You want me to tell it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I believe in this. I believe that, even when like you take steps and they don't work out, like that doesn't mean that they didn't work out. Not in the way that you want it, but they've gone somewhere. So I was kayaking in a lake this summer, and I remember seeing like this like big fast boats that would go by, but the ripple of the boat, like the wake, right? What I now learned is the wake. I didn't know that, but the wake part of the boat, it wouldn't reach my little boat, my little kayak, for like 3 or 5 minutes. And so the boat was gone 5 minutes out of the way. I couldn't even see him anymore. And the big waves that he left behind would only reach me a while after he went by. And it was such a metaphor for life, because there's people that I know have taken my classes, have, been exposed to like some of my messages about receiving and being real and all that. And perhaps things didn't like click right away, but I see them 6 months later and they're completely different people. And I know that I just know, like I know because I own my ripple, that something that was said clicked for them, when we were together in the same space, right? Not just me, I'm not taking credit for their evolution or anything, but I know that I helped, right? Because everything's connected. And now after seeing the boat effect and how it reaches the shore, like a while after, not immediately, but after, it just sort of proved my point that energy is never destroyed. It's just transfer. And sometimes it takes a bit to catch up, but it goes on infinitely. And I wanted to share that because it's, I see this a lot with my clients and with people I talk to. They're like, it's not working. So I teach them to trust, right? That I don't teach patience. I think when you ask for patience, you're made to wait. So I don't ever pray for patience or teach patience, but I teach trust, because you've got to trust in nature, and in physics and in energy. And it's going to go where it's needed and where it's required. And pray for the evidence, right? Pray for physical manifestation, physical evidence that your ripples are reaching all the right places. Because I had never connected the dots until this time. So it was pretty powerful.
Wow. You said something that kind of gave me goosebumps when you said, you own your ripple.
I do.
I love that. I've never heard that said by anyone ever before. And I have never been clear on it. Although I know that I make a difference and I make an impact personally. Yeah. But I have never said it in that context where I own my ripple. I know. Like you're 120% sure.
Of course. I think I can say that confidently now with 100% conviction, because I think you got to give time, and I've been doing this for 6 years full time now. And it's, I've heard enough, I've seen enough to now have the logic. In the past, I didn't have that track record of logic. It was like a guess. Like, I hope, I guess, I think it makes a difference. I think people listen to me. And so I thought, but now after getting enough feedback or enough echoes, because it's an echo, it's not like instant. A lot of people come to me after the fact, or a lot of people, when I ask, like, how have I helped? Then I get 200 comments, people say this. You just, not you, I'm not saying you, but most of us just don't open ourselves up enough to actually receive that feedback, because you're afraid you may not get it. So you don't ask it. You know what I mean? Or you don't like, you just not like, you know what I mean? It's like, we don't even want to ask you because you don't want to be greedy, or you don't want to be like fishing for compliments. It's not about fishing for compliments. Is if you're looking for evidence, then you're going to find it. And there's no faster way than just to ask.
Yes.
It's not an imposition. It's not, you know what I mean? And I've asked for it, but also I just get it, and sometimes I need a boost, and I just ask people, I'm like, how have I helped you? What do you appreciate about me? And they just flow. And there's no ego involved. Yes. I just ask for what I need.
I love that, because I think that also is such a huge reflection of how much work you've done on yourself.
Oh, thank you.
How much investment you make in your own self-development and personal growth, because it takes some deep work to be able to say, I own my ripple. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially when we were talking about earlier in your childhood, you feel like you don't deserve anything. You don't feel like you're being heard. From that to who you are now, saying, I own this ish, that is huge. And I think that a lot of women listening to this episode can really learn a lot from your journey of how you've really stood and owned your space in this world And not only that, teaching it to other women.
Thank you. And it's, let me just take a second to receive that, because it feels like a compliment. And I want to model for everyone, you know, that if someone acknowledges you in the beautiful way that you just did for me, that you're being a mirror for something that I didn't even, nobody had ever said the words you just said to me. So I want to take a moment to say,
Oh,
thank you. And I really want to receive that.
you're welcome.
So many times we hear something and, like you said, you deflect the compliment. You know, you hear something and you're like, oh, well, you're nice. I'm just having a good hair day, you know, or whatever. And I am very aware of how we do that. And because of my core, you know, issue, I try to take a moment to just like let it, not just like go in and out one ear, but like really accept it and allow it to go down to my heart. Because most of us, I'll never forget, I was doing this event and this woman came up to me and she says, wow, you're killing it. And I said, thank you, because that's what I do. That's what I teach, right? Thank you. And then in my head, I heard me say, what else is she going to say? Is she going to tell me I suck? And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many times I've done that somebody has said something really nice to me. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. But I deflected it in the back end. So I don't want to do that to you out of, you know, I don't want to disrespect your wisdom. And so I just want to say thank you, because you're absolutely right. And that's why I feel like it's comfortable for me to own my ripple, because I know that it's not been easy.
Mm-hmm.
I may have made it look easy, but I know that the courage I've had to face my fears, the courage I've had to go for the big asks, you know, to be asked to be put on stage, or to keep spending blindly sometimes, taking huge financial, emotional risks, you know, to be disappointed. They've all paid off. And I promise you, it's not been in financial ways. I mean, the financial part has been nice to kind of prove to myself that I can do it. But to me, the growth as a human, you know, and my unconditional powerfulness is priceless. No coach, no course, no nothing. Like I'm a result of all the coaching and all the mentoring and all the difficult situations that I've had to grow through, right? But that unconditional powerfulness is priceless to me, and that's what I'm here to give. And it's a journey. And I can, you know, I'm in a 2-year relationship, and in some ways, that's my Achilles heel. That and co-parenting sometimes, you know. But and numbers, you know, and I still work at them, but I don't judge myself for still being in major debt and still not having recovered my credit. I was still feeling like sometimes I put my love on a pedestal because I admire him so much. Sometimes I have to remind myself, no, he's your equal. Mm-hmm. We're equal partners, you know. That's a whole new territory for me, you know. Wow. So it's like I could be really confident and very powerful in so many things. And in some areas I have to remind myself, you know, is my power conditional? No. I live to see women be powerful, not from a force standpoint or from a money standpoint, but from an all standpoint. And I do think that the experience of being very powerful is beyond looks. I mean, I weighed at 200 pounds in May, and I'm still 200 pounds. I'm very consistent at that. I've never weighed that much, even when I was super pregnant. And that was a spiritual experience for me in itself, because I was like, I let myself get to this point. How am I getting to the point where taking Advil is constant, you know, or taking like Pepto-Bismol is normal? Like, what happened to me? I used to be a health nut. And I'm still decoding that. You know what I mean? And I'm decoding it. I'm like learning. But for me, step one is like, can I still show up as a leader? Can I still inspire? Can I still be myself? Can I still feel everything I feel about myself, even if I'm not, you know, a size 8 anymore? I'm more like, I have things that are 1X. Does that define me? You know what I mean? Does that make me less of a leader because I've struggled with my health discipline? Some would argue yes, some would argue no. For me, I was like, if I can only show up, be a leader, and be inspiring when I'm a size and a weight, then that's not real.
Yeah.
And so I'm my own laboratory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love how you just went from not having confidence being heard as a child to owning your ripple in the space, and that you make a difference, a huge difference in people's lives, to owning your own, like blaming yourself, not blaming other people, and owning your own. I got myself here and I'm still decoding it. And it's so beautiful to kind of watch the way that you handle things, because I think a lot of us, women, it's easy to blame and point the finger to people, or maybe to a food that we're addicted to,
Or a
or what.
circumstance, you know what I mean? A
Yes.
circumstance like that for me, for sure, was like my pregnancy. I had a pretty stressful things that happened, not expected. And ever since then, body wise, I've never been the same. And I have to consciously, realize that like, like that, there's no reason to feel like a victim of anything,
Wow.
because that's like putting your power in the past.
You are so super self-aware.
Yeah,
I'm
that for
I
sure is my superpower.
very self-aware, and I love that about you.
Thank you.
What is that you can advise to women that really have a hard time receiving, just like maybe a quick advice or an exercise, or like you just did, like, oh, I just want to take a pause and receive that. And I think the beautiful thing that you did was you took the pause so it can go into your heart, because I think a lot of times we will allow it to go into our head sometimes, and it's really, it loses its power when you do that and not put it in the heart.
Mm. Yeah, when you don't believe it, you're gonna discard it, or you're gonna think that the person has an agenda, or you know what I mean? Like you're gonna go into your head and you're like, if I take this, what do I owe them? Am I gonna owe them something, or am I, what's the agenda here? And I know some of us don't trust because we've had experiences with people that perhaps have taken advantage of us or whatever. But look, there's so much I can say about this, and I know in the interest of time, I'm going to think of like quick tips to help women sort of deserve, receive, right? And the reason why I keep saying receiving is because I'm most known for teaching something called infinite receiving, and it's literally like an operating system of how to think and see the world, a perspective that will allow you to receive in every circumstance, in adversity, and it'll allow you to win more. It'll allow you to keep like flowing through things, even when it doesn't feel like you're not supposed to flow. And this has been true and tested in like with women all over the world. I've spoken in the Middle East, in South America, everywhere. And
Wow.
it works. It really works when you start seeing the world from an open to receiving standpoint. And so please keep in touch. But I can give you, and also this whole like philosophy was given to me in a moment of total despair. Me not being this sort of like wise, more evolved woman, I was like really hating my circumstances and really annoyed and really frustrated. I felt like I was in a straitjacket in my own life.
Wow.
And in one of these moments, I literally had this point of enlightenment, and I got this very important, relevant download that not only has helped me go from, at that point, I was in total drought, again, near like calling it quits, to massive success, and now massive self-growth. The success, the limelight was amazing, but this whole year of 2018 has been very humbling, because I had to go back and keep my ego in check, because that's the first thing that goes, like it's like, even as humble and as nice as I am, I can honestly tell you that even the money went to my head, and I wish I had more saved of all that, right? But this year has been very humbling, and I needed to kind of slow down to prove to me that receiving is so much more than material things and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this unconditional acceptance, this unconditional powerfulness, and so many other things. But some of the things that you can do today, right this second, as soon as you hang up with us or you stop watching, the first thing is, don't save the best for last. Women that struggle with deservability and with receiving, right? We have a tendency to, like, we save gift cards, we don't cash checks right away, we have massages that we don't use, we have plenty of shoes and clothes, with tags on that we've never used, because we're one day, you know, we will have the perfect opportunity to look beautiful or to pamper ourselves. You've got to stop that. If you buy something, you wear it right away.
Wow.
If you have a gift card, you use it right away. Why? Because you're accumulating this value. You've received something that is good as cash, right? And you're like stashing it away. And so the message you're sending to the universe, it unconsciously is like, oh, I'm going to procrastinate on me. I'm going to procrastinate on,
Wow.
you're procrastinating you, basically. You're putting yourself in this opportunity to have some time for you, or to look beautiful, or something that is for you. You're putting it off. So that's one thing. Don't save the best for last. We do that even when we eat. You save the best piece of food for last, right? Sometimes I order dessert first because I'm like, I want the best first. So own this, rock it, like go with it. You know, don't save that red lipstick or that underwear for a special occasion like today is the day, because that's
Wow.
you're going to receive so much more when you apply these tips, because it's kind of like you're moving yourself up in priority and standards and everything. The other thing is to eliminate the words, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me, or no way. So when something happens to you that's good, most people would go to the humble, shrinky, I call it shrinking when you make yourself small, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, you act shocked when good things happen, but you want more good things to happen. So the universe will prevent you, will keep you from having a heart attack, you know, every time something good happens. So no good
Yeah.
things happen. So normalize the good, basically normalize.
Wow.
When something
That's
good
amazing.
happens, don't say no way or oh my God, I can't. No, just say like, yes way. Of course, that needs to be your default.
Wow.
Like, of course, things are working in my favor. Because do you think God or the universe wants to see you suffer? No, it wants to see you grow. And the more you accept the good things, the more you will get, right? Another very easy thing is like compliments is a big one, right?
Mm.
That's a really common one. It's a big one. Like we've already been talking about this, but if I say something like, hey, listen, congratulations on your success, and you feel uncomfortable with that, there's an opportunity for you to like sit with that, kind of like what I told you, right? When you gave me that huge acknowledgement and compliment. If you feel uncomfortable by me telling you something, why is there like a limit to you receiving that? Like where's the, like, I often ask women, like, how deep did this go? And some women are like, it didn't enter me, right? Like, or it's just like up here, like I can't swallow it because it just makes me uncomfortable. Just sit with that and ask you, like, why not? And most of the times you're going to think that people are fake, or that people are like, not, they don't really mean it. But the truth is, if you think about it, do people really need to come and manipulate you, or like lure you into something to look? If you're in Europe, perhaps, like, you know, I don't know if you've been to like Turkey or countries where they're like, ma'am, you look so nice today, come on in, let me sell you something. No, that's not it. You know what I mean? Like, people can just be themselves, and you can just let them say whatever they want. And if it's something nice, I highly encourage you to accept it. Why is the importance? Because you never know what you're blocking by blocking that compliment. You know, what if like a leader or somebody, what if I told you, you know, what if I have like a straight line flown into like Oprah or something, and I'm like, Kareem, your efforts are paying off. I see you, I see your beauty, you're shining, you're radiant. And you're like, okay, thank you. You know? And in my head, like, all I hear is like, this woman does not believe in herself. I'm not referring her to anybody.
Wow. That's super powerful what you are giving us today, because I was laughing when you talk about the gift cards, because I literally have 2 Starbucks gift cards.
Send them to me. I went to Quick Trip this
purse.
morning, or Racetrack. I could use some Starbucks.
And when you said that, it's so true. We save the best for last, and we try to hoard things for whatever occasion we think that it deserves it, right? And I'm just over here while you were talking, being really quiet, because I'm just like, so much jaw-dropping aha moments, because I know I do it. Like
Yeah.
what you're just saying is I do it. And I was laughing because I had like literally thought of my gift card that I just received this week, just the last 7 days, and I haven't spent
Yeah.
it because
But I would not judge yourself for that because you just got it, right? But perhaps there's more stuff in the closet or your nightstand or in that kitchen door that we all stash things in, right? Like, it's just
amazing.
food for thought because
Yeah.
there's so many people that don't cash their checks, or don't return items, and then when they go return them, it's expired.
Oh, yes, I
That's a big
know.
one too. But anyway, I go through a series of, I actually have a document called the 27 Common Blocks to Receiving, and it's everything from this to um, oh gosh, like,
Wow.
don't ever cross your fingers. Like when people say cross your fingers, don't ever cross your fingers. That's not good for receiving. You're creating
Really?
knots. You're creating blocks in your energy. So always say, I open my arms to receive. You're,
Wow.
oh gosh, there's just so many little practical things. That's why infinite receiving is so powerful, because it's not just like sit and meditate. No, it's like you need to change your way of being. And at first it's going to feel uncomfortable, and then it's going to feel more like, one of the things that I teach is to say, of course, and more, please. And that's really uncomfortable for people at
Wow.
the beginning because they're like, that's kind of greedy. If you get something good and you're like, yes, more, please. They feel greedy. They feel uncomfortable. But in reality is there a limited amount of opportunities out there? Is there a limit? Like Kareem only, is it Kareem or Kareem? I apologize for asking.
Irene with the N.
Kareem. Okay. Duh. Sorry. Okay. Kareem. So are there like, okay, Kareem only gets 27 opportunities. Maru gets 25. She gets 47. She gets 100,000. It doesn't work like that.
Mm.
Oxygen is infinite, right? Unless you're at the top of Everest or, something. But
Yeah.
oxygen is infinite. There's no like, okay, this person can only breathe this much. This person can only breathe this much. And yet the majority of Americans breathe at a 30% capacity.
I know. I
We
know.
all breathe really shallow, but there's infinite oxygen, and you have 70% more room to expand into in your breath. Yet we
Yep.
underutilize our breathing capacity. We live in a chronic underutilization of our asking power, of our receiving power, of our brain power, of everything, right? And in so many ways, my message, the thing that most people book me for to speak and discuss, is why we're not more open to receiving. Because my theory and what was given to me in this philosophy and this way of seeing the world and thinking is that you only get in life what you have the capacity to receive. So your job is not to work too hard to get the thing. Your job is to expand your capacity to receive it, because it's already out there.
Right.
Anything you want. It's more like, can I really handle this? Right?
Wow.
And most people are praying with their doors closed. They're praying like, I am the classic example of wanting Oprah-sized blessings, right? But at the very thought of getting, let's say, 12 clients at a time, I would hyperventilate and have total anxiety, because I'm like, how will I handle it? Would I be able to handle it? Can I handle it? Can I do this? But yet I'm praying for it. So I'm not ready to receive it. I'm not going to get it.
Wow. So how do you, on the other end of the spectrum, you talk about the challenges that you have, and if there's something you don't want to receive, how do you block that energy? Do you acknowledge it? Do you do anything with it at all? Or do you just let it happen?
You have to let it happen. And here's what I mean. Like when you said, like, how do you selectively choose what you get? When you're trying to like not be available for the bad, let's say, or the adversity of the setback, you're blocking everything. And, Paulo Coelho says, when you don't fear the unknown will be kind to you. Wow. And there's no greater truth that I've ever lived by. When you don't fear, or when you fear the unknown less, the unknown will be kind to you. And the thing about it is there's no guarantees in life. We all live in an illusion of control.
Yep.
Right. And so I was that person that when I first started playing around with receiving in 2013, everything went to crap. Everything, everything went to like, it was amazing how quickly, right? And I'll never forget that, because I was like freaking Oprah. She turned me onto this like open to receiving thing. And now here I am left with, all my security was taken away in 3 weeks. And it took me like 3 or 4 years to get back to understand that this receiving thing it's like it's almost like living in perpetual humility, right? Of like, hey, dear God, I am open to receiving your will. I pray to be used. I pray I pray that I receive the highest and greatest good for all concerned, right? And I will accept that what comes my way can be what I'm envisioning and what I want.
Mm.
And or, better. Because to me, everything, even your goal of reaching like that, not your goal, like your reality, because it's in the cards for you, right? To
Yep.
be an influencer and to touch thousands and thousands and thousands of lives with your podcast. That's amazing, but it's small compared to what's available out there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so everything that you set for yourself is a preconceived notion of what you think it's possible. So it's a safe thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the right thing to do, right? Like you rather chunk it down.
Yep.
Of course.
Yep.
But the thing is who tells you that tonight you could win the lottery, or perhaps like, you get like some winnings from the Philippines, or, somehow you get randomly, like, just always be open, right? And sometimes it's funny because I taught a class this morning on plot twists. That's one of like my favorite subjects. Why? Because I used to hate them. But then I realized that everything that I am today is a result of major plot twists. So at the time they felt uncomfortable and they were difficult, and some of them showed up as an adversity or a setback. But in those difficult moments, I developed all the muscles that I'm now a champ at. And so it's sort of like this balance between like being willing to lean into the discomfort and to not be like, no, this sucks, this is terrible. It is terrible and it sucks. And if it's there, it's there, and there's something in it for you, right? So many times I feel like every adversity is for you to learn detachment and impermanence.
Yes.
That's something that I've learned this year, the impermanence, because I mean, I made over $1 million in 2 years, like since Infinite Receiving came to me. So this receiving thing is real. It's so real in my life. And this year, it's not been nearly quite as fast and as popping as the previous years were, right? And I think it was by design. I know it was by design because I've had to go deeper and sort of like accept myself even when I wasn't in that spotlight, and realize that this year has been about like welcoming love. Like I now live with my love, and man, like living with a new person, it's like, first person I've lived, second person I've lived with in my life. And since I became a single mom. So, adapting our lives, that we can do 3 podcasts on that.
Oh, I can talk to you all day.
I thought it was, I'm an infinite receiver. I have my mindset unlocked. I got this. Oh my word. It was like what I just said. I feel like every adversity, every curveball, everything that comes your way is not to punish you, but to polish you. And for me, I've learned a lot about my own like self-love and detachment and worth. Like, am I only happy when we're happy, or can I still be powerful even if we're not getting along? Ouch. Like that's a whole new level. You know what I mean?
Can I just say that I really love what you said about me having the goal of top 100 podcasts, and how you literally said that's small compared to what's possible, because I've never looked at it that way.
Okay.
And it's super powerful.
Good.
Because I've always believed there's so much more to do, and the universe is unlimited, right? I believe that everything is unlimited, but I'm so glad you said that, because it's literally giving me this aha moment that I already know. Like sometimes we already know some things, but we just don't. I think we just don't realize that it's true unless someone else says it, And when you said that, I'm like, she's so right. Like I set that goal because it's possible. Like what's impossible? Like what else is beyond that? And now you're going to make me think.
You should be thinking that way, because number one, it's free. Number two is the crazier it is, the less attachment you have to it. In Infinite Receiving, I call it like outrageous. Like you need to have an outrageous ask, one that makes no sense. And this came to me because one day I was like, what if I had an email from Vishen Lakhiani? Vishen is the CEO of Mind Valley. I don't know if you've heard of Mind Valley.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, it's this like Malaysian company, and they're an education company, and they publish authors, right? And I've been close to them in the past, and I was like, wouldn't it be crazy to have an email from Vishen in my inbox? I don't know where that idea came from, if I intuited it or whatever, but I kid you not, I had a personal email from him when I got out of the plane.
Mm.
And it felt
Wow.
like such an outrageous ask that I was like, why am I not asking for that constantly, right? And then I started teaching it in Infinite Receiving. I was like, every day, write your 10 outrageous asks. Like your outrageous, like it has to make no sense. The more irrational, the better. I'm transported to space.
Wow.
You know, Oprah called. And then you're going to figure out how little minded we are. We all are. I'm the same way. I need to get back into that because you're like a collective shrinking for me as well. But you know what would happen is that women would report every day, every week, like, I asked for a laptop and I got one out of the blue. The less attachment you can have, the faster it comes to pass. And it's the craziest thing. It makes no sense. But have you ever met women that get pregnant after they stop trying, or they find love after they give up?
Yes.
Same principle.
Wow.
It's like,
my gosh.
No, we can talk forever. I mean, I
swear we can.
Yeah.
Well, before I just get so super excited because I can't wait to re-listen to this recording. Tell us about your child, your baby, because you're a mom, and this is all about Mother Hustler. So,
oh my gosh,
being a mom and your baby, and how has that changed you as a person?
Yeah, so it's changed me infinitely. I mean, my life before and after are like two different books altogether. You know, it feels like I was one person then and I was one person after. It's been such a journey, you know, and my ego tells me that my journey has been so different from most women, and it's not true. When I open up, we've all gone through a version of this, but I don't feel like I'm the natural mom. Up until the day I got pregnant, like the day before I found out I was pregnant, I had finished and sealed a plan to move to Australia. And I had this A to Z plan to rent a house. I was sharing with my ex, and we had this amazing, I had just gotten my Australian visa. So I was ready to like take off and be this free spirit, you know, no home entrepreneur in 2013. And the next day I found out I was expecting, and it was like the biggest shock of my life, and not one that I will forever be grateful for. But it took me a long time to process it and accept it. And anyway, I don't know how I got so lucky that I have the child that I have, to be honest with you, because he is, I mean, obviously as a mom, you know, I think he's the best kid in the world. He's 5. And I mean, he listens. He sometimes pushes up, you know, he pushes all my buttons and stuff. But even in that, like, yeah, that's normal. But even in that, like, standing in my power of finding a new level of power to be able to communicate with him in a way that will move him or will get him to do stuff. Forgiving myself, because so many times I've felt like an inadequate mom because I've been so focused on business and, you know, and what I do. I don't know. I think he's taught me everything about really learning to like accept myself and staying in my own lane.
Wow.
Because it's easy to compare your journey. Like my journey to motherhood, I think it's different from a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. And I see other women, you know, being like super devoted and, you know, just being there every step of the way. And I feel like if it wasn't for my mom helping me, I don't know how I would have made it. I think I would be crazy today, and I don't think I would be where I am today. So one of the things that I'm very appreciative of, and that I encourage every woman to pray for, is a world-class support system. Because I just don't know how, especially single moms or women that are married but feel like single moms, most of them are, how they do it all on their own. So my kid definitely has taught me to receive and to ask, and to not feel like I have to break my back, you know, to do everything and to look good in the process.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been such a vulnerable journey. And I'm telling you, like, to this day, almost every day, I give thanks for my world-class support system, because that, as a mom, I think as a woman, but as a mom, especially if you don't have a world-class support system, I didn't. That's why I started praying for one. When my ex and I separated, is because I felt so alone. And I felt like, I was like, this is not the life that I dreamt of. Like, even though my business was starting to take off, I was like, I feel so alone. Even with him, I felt alone, you know, and then not 24 hours later, we had broken up. Like literally, it was the craziest thing. It's like the minute I admitted to myself that I felt alone and like I felt like a martyr or something, that I was doing everything. And I just like, I didn't want to resent my kid, you know? And I was like, this is not what my dad would have wanted from me. Like, And the next day we broke up. It was mutual. And go ahead.
What did you learn from your mom, your own mother, that you can apply to your own parenting?
Oh man, honestly, a lot of things, but her selflessness it could make me cry right now. Like, she's just a selfless human. And the reason I could cry about it is because up until like 2 days ago, I think I was judging her for it. And I had an experience very like literally Saturday. This is Monday, Saturday, where, you know, her selflessness made her a hero to a family. And here the whole time I was kind of judging her for being so giving and so no boundaries. Are you there? I hope you're still there because it kind of froze. Hi. But
hold on.
Yeah.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Let me see here. Connection quit working. There you are. Are we good?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. So going back to your mom, you judged her?
Yeah, I was judging her in my map of the world. It was like, she has no boundaries. She's too overgiving, this and this. And her selflessness literally made her a hero. And I went to a funeral where she was honored and everything. And I just bawled my eyes out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I was judging her lack of boundaries, or so I saw it that way. But it was truly like her heart. That's her heart. And that same selflessness I've benefited so much from. And God, thank you. Like, more, please, because I have been able to expand my business, my reach, my impact, my everything because of her selflessness and because of her love. So I would say, I'm still sitting on that one, like how it applies to me, because I'm more of like a woman on a mission, you know. Being the sole provider that I've been pretty much for 6 years, it puts you in major survival mode. And it makes it so that before, when I was super giving and super, I'll help you move, I'll help you this, now I don't do anything like that, you know. So I'm really questioning, like, is it really true that I don't have time, or is it that I've just stopped being used to that, you know, because there always needed to be like a payback, like, okay, I'll do this and it's going to give me a result. You know, when you're selfless, you don't expect that. You're just doing it out of the kindness of your heart.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
But I mean, so many things. She's very strong, and I would say we've been through a lot of things together. And I think every time I've been in a difficult situation, she's always stepped up and she's always there for me. And so I'm so grateful for her.
It's great. What's your son's name?
Matthias Christians.
What's your message for Matthias if he listens to this?
That there's not one path, there's not one passion, and there's not one purpose that anyone has. You know, that to follow his instincts, his breadcrumbs, and that where you are is not where you'll end up. You know, because I was asked to go to a high school to speak about education, and I was like, I'll go speak, but I can't talk about education. You're not going to make me talk about the importance of education, because although it is important, right, for kids to have a structure, to have something, I don't want them to go get themselves in $100,000 debt right out of the gate, so that then they're
Yep.
tied to a job that they hate to pay for a career that they now hate.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they
So
become miserable adults.
yeah,
It's
we're not
really,
set up for success. If you know what you want and you know that's something like, yes, then school's for you. And then for me, I kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life at 25, 4 years
wow.
after I graduated college. So, and every path leads you to where you're supposed to go. But I just want to make sure my child knows that he's never a failure. He's never a failure, that circumstances don't make you a failure, that there's not like one storyline, that there's infinite storylines. And the happiest, most whole and complete people are not the richest. They're the ones who have lived more life, and they've proven to themselves that no matter what, they can keep moving forward.
That's wonderful. I love that message. Before I ask you the last question, can you tell us where to find you all over social media, your websites? Because we want to find you for sure. And I know listeners want to find you.
Please, I want you to find me. I want to find you. I'm pretty sure there's something in it for both of us. So you can find me on Instagram, my full name, Maru Iabichela, or Infinite Receiving. That's like where this like message, right, where you'll find more about how to receive. But I share about it in all my platforms. For sure, add me as a friend or just follow me on my personal Facebook profile, because I share mostly there. And my awesome Facebook group called the Infinite Receivers Club. You definitely want to join that. I share a lot of intimate details about my life and the behind the scenes, because I'm happy to, share all of it. One thing that I know for a fact is that success does not guarantee happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when I've been very successful and I was really happy, that also doesn't last forever, right? So it's like, how do you find your center of power that stays consistent throughout the storms and through the ups and downs? And so I share a lot of it, because I don't want people to assume that just because you're visible and you have your own claims to fame and you're wise or whatever, that you don't have your own stuff. Like we all do. We all have our messes. And that doesn't make you less than anybody else. We're all equals. And that's one of my guiding principles in life, that we are all equals.
I love that. So last question. When you hear the word mother hustler, what comes to mind and what is your definition of it?
The first thing that comes to mind is badass. I don't know if I can say that, but
Yes,
here's
you
the thing,
can.
it's like, good, thank you. But I want more women to give themselves credit. When you were saying like, I don't expect a thank you or stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that you have to do things because you're expecting a thank you. No, but I want you to look at yourself in third person and realize that the way you do life, that what you deal with, what you put up with, what you do for yourself, for your family, your kids, it's like that of an Olympic champion.
Wow.
And that's what makes us all champions. That's what makes us all, not that we live perfect lives and perfect kitchens and perfect recipes. Life has nothing to do with that. If that was the case, then Bill Gates would be the happiest person in the world. And I can guarantee you that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
I just want everybody to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that someone else with the challenges that you faced, if someone else was living your life, they would have probably already been dead, of like anxiety or depression or pressure, because they don't deal with the stuff you deal with. So I just, to me, mother hustler, first of all, I love the name. Second, I think of like badasses, that we're a legion of badasses, and that you should not compare yourself or make someone else better than you just because perhaps they've accomplished some physical, material status or possessions that you don't have yet. You don't have their journey. There's no other person like you. You're 1 in 8 billion, and you're having exactly what you can handle right now. And when your kid turns 18 or when your kid turns 8 or is a little bit older, you'll be able to do more. And then that person will have a child and they'll be able to do less and you'll be able to do more. It's this constant like piano, you don't stay in one key. You go all through the keyboard, and that's what makes a symphony. And I just see everybody as like, I want everybody to take a breath and say like, gosh, I'm a badass. All I could do today was get out of bed. And that's awesome. Yesterday I stayed in bed. My Fitbit hit 1,000 steps by like 7 p.m. at night. And I was so proud of that. I was so proud of that. That made me a badass. Why? Because I'm like, I chose to stay in bed all day. I didn't get my son back until about 7 from his dad's house. And when he came home, we cooked and this and that. And it was, I cleaned the closet. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. And that's fine. That also makes me
Wow.
badass. And so just don't compare yourself, and know that you are an Olympic champion of being you. And you need to recognize that.
Wow.
That will free you up to receive and to just give you relief. And I think as adults, especially as mothers, we all need relief because we're under constant pressure from society to achieve, to do more, to like bend over backwards and look hot in the process. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For real, it's ridiculous.
For sure. I agree 100%. Well,
Yay.
thank you so much for your time today, and I appreciate everything that you're doing and how you're showing up in this world. Super real, Maru. You're super real, and I love that about you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for everyone listening. If you made it this far, email me. Like, I want to give you a virtual hug. Maru@infinitereceiving.com. Yeah, I hope we get to do this again, for sure.
Yep.
Thank you so much.